Hey everyone, Hamad here. Welcome to my channel, Cloud with Hamad, DIY Cloud Learning to Inspire. For today in our cloud series with Azure, I will integrate on-premises AD domain with Azure AD. During the lab, I will create an Azure tenant, which will have Azure AD. I will create a couple of users and groups. Also, I will install on-premises Windows 2016 server, in which I will install Active Directory and DNS server so that we can do some custom domain. Also, we will create some users and group on the premises, and then we will install a service called AD Sync to synchronize the users from on-premises domain to our Azure AD. Once we verify that connectivity, we'll complete our lab. Now, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share. I would really appreciate it. Now, without further delay, let's go to my notes. All right, guys, welcome to my notes. First thing first, we'll discuss agenda for today. First, we will do introduction to AD. We'll go to Microsoft website and review some services and key features. And then, as I indicated, this whole lab is of two parts. One is on the cloud and one is on-premises lab. On the cloud, we'll create an AZ tenant. We'll actually configure that tenant to be like our own custom. So what we'll do is we'll create a custom domain, and then we'll use that domain to create some users and groups. Also, on the premises, we'll install a Windows 2016 server. On the VM, we'll install AD and DNS server on premises, and then we'll promote that domain controller. After that, we'll create some users and group, and we'll download a tool called AZ AD Connect, which will actually sync the users from on-premises users to with cloud AD. What is tenant? A tenant represents an organization in Azure Active Directory. It dedicates Azure AD service instance that are ongoing receives and owns when it signs up for a Microsoft Cloud service such as Azure, Microsoft Intune, or Microsoft 365. Each Azure AD tenant is distinct and separate from other organizations. So basically, it tells you that, if you have a company, you will create an Azure account, you will get a tenant, which is under your company name or whatever on Microsoft.com. You will see, but you need to register your domain, which is what we're going to do. Also, what is Active Directory? Active Directory is a directory service developed by Microsoft for Windows domain network. It authenticates and authorizes all the users and computers in Windows domain type network, assigning and enforcing security. So basically, it is basically a gatekeeper, I would say. What is Azure AD Connect? It's a tool for connecting on-premises identity infrastructure to Microsoft Azure AD. It's a tool to sync all the user ID. What is TXT record? Because once we create a domain in Freenom, we need a TXT record to use it in our Azure AD to verify the domain. So that will create by using TXT record. TXT record is a resource record used to provide the ability to associate text with a zone. One example is ownership validation. To prove you own that domain, a provider may require you to add a TXT record with a particular value to your domain. We will see that on our exercise as well. Here you will see basically an on-premises domain controller. We'll install AD in there. We'll use, there are some client here. We'll use AD Connect to sync into our cloud network, and anything that basically needs access to any of our, I would say, tier, like web tier, business tier, data tier, they need to go through Azure AD, and this is basically a public IP that's coming from a load balancer. So you can use it as a jump box to get in, but you need to verify through Azure AD. Simple here, as again, on premises, we'll use AD Connect to sync our AD, and it has AD health and everything. Also, one of the things that I also wanted to show here is if you are on premises, you have a local authentication protocol. There's a Kerberos and TMLM, and then you have Azure Active Directory or Azure or Active Directory on premises. And then you have on the cloud protocol, which is either West Federation or SAML or Auth. All the definitions are here. Like Kerberos is a network authentication protocol. It designs for strong authentication. And then, NTLM, Federation these are the protocols. I think in the end of the day, let's understand this. If you're a user of OneDrive, Outlook, or Skype, you basically log into an Azure AD. So you'll have an account in Azure AD as a personal level. But if you are an organization and you're using 365, Power BI, Team, OneDrive, SharePoint, that organization has an Azure AD. This is what we're going to do, basically, to verify one of the domains. Also, I think what the next step would be is to show you that, hey, if you have your own Azure tenant, this is you will also verify. And then you are a developer, same thing. So let's not delay further. Let's go to our lab and take it from there. So if you do Azure Active Directory in Google, you will see this page. This is the landing page for Azure Active Directory. Once again, if you do product overview, you can see that Azure Active Directory Enterprise Identity Service provided single sign-on and multi-factor authentication to help protect user from 99% of cybersecurity attack. Also, the feature is single sign-on on simple access to your app from anywhere. Conditional access and multi-factor authentication helps protect and govern access. Single sign-on platform lets you engage with external and internal users. Develop tools to make it integrate with identity into your app and services. Again, security, like you can see, over 1 billion annually of cybersecurity research and development they invest, and then 3,500 security expert, blah blah blah. And then for pricing, you can get here. Actually, the pricing part is a little challenging to understand. They have different type of subscription: free, Office 365, premium 1 and premium 2. Different features, some of them are available for free and some of them are not available for like 365, and then premium P2 is the highest. Everything is available for them. Let's go back here. And once again, you can get started here. All the documentation are here for Azure Active Directory. What we'll do is always also in here. All right, so let's not delay further. Let's go to our tenant and start building the solution. All right, guys, I'm already logged into my portal now. You can see this is my portal. First thing first, we will create an Azure. We'll go into Azure Active Directory. I created a cheat sheet for us to have to know what the steps will be, because this is a little complicated exercise, because you have to go back and forth in different locations. So I would just follow this. So first, we'll create an AD tenant. So right now, I am logged into my tenant Hamad Azure. And then, you can see this is the tenant ID. It is a free license. And this is where you have all the directories. You can see this is my tenant. So if I click on all directories, it's going to list all of the tenant IDs I have created. And then right now I'm in my default directory, which is Hamad Azure. First thing first, we'll hit create tenant. And then over here, you will have a choice to select what is the Active Directory you need. So Active Directory or Azure Active Directory Business to Consumer enables user to access application published by your organization and share some administration experience. You click on to learn more, or you can help me choose more. It will go through certain questions. You just need to select that. Right now, we're just not doing business to consumer, so I'll just use Azure Active Directory. Click next. Company name, I would just use California food in company, and then I can say California food .on.microsoft. It's already taken because I already created one. So let's do California food 1, and then once you do that, it's going to take it, and then United States is my location. I will hit review, and it confirms that it is created. It's like validation is passed, and now you just need to hit create. All right, guys, so you can see it, California food tenant is created. I will click here, and then once I click here, it's going to take me to this new tenant location. It's going to load blades, and we created a tenant named California Food. You can see up here on the right, it says California Food in Company. Primary domain is californiafood.on.microsoft.com. This is where we would switch tenant if I need to. So I would click on switch tenant and select whatever, like, you know, my domain is. This is my primary default tenant, so I can use this and hit switch. But right now we're going to stick to this one here. This is the new tenant we created. This is our primary domain, and tenant ID is set up here. The next step, and then you can create users here. You can create users. This is a default user. This is created because I am the member of that domain that I created. And then you can create guest users, new user. We'll go through this exercise in a bit. And then for now, we can go create group, roles, assignment, and licenses. Next thing is we will change this primary domain to our own domain. So let's say our company is California Food, and we don't want this domain that was given to us when we signed up for Azure. So they gave us californiafood.onmicrosoft.com. We have our own domain either by GoDaddy or Freenom that says califordomain az.com or whatever. So we will bring that in and we will create IDs from there. So next thing is I click here for now, and then you can see we have this here. So first thing first, we'll go to Freenom and we'll create a domain. Let me fast forward this here. It's gonna register a domain. You should have, if you're running a company, you should have your own domain. This is just, I don't have any. I wanted to show the process. Go California Foods .tk. I can do whatever. This is a free service. Since this is a lab, I will just not have this for a year. So californiafood.tk, that's pretty much it. We'll just use this one. And then we'll check out. Let me create this and come right back up. Alright guys, as you can see, this californiafood.tk domain is created. I will copy this and I'll come back here and I will add a custom domain, which is my company domain. So I'll put it here and then take this out and then take this out and then click add domain. So what happened is it added the domain and then it gave us a record for us to verify this in Freenom that, hey, I have a MS record. It's a TXT record that was given to us. We need to verify this with Freenom. So click here, copy this and get to Freenom, manage domain, and then manage Freenom to DNS. Once you get here, I will paste it in the target. This is where it needs, it's an TXT record. So I would select TXT record here since we have, if you look at here, this is an MS record with TXT. This is a destination to or point to address. So this is a record type of TXT, host name at TTL 36 second, which is already, I think, there. So once we save this, it's going to take good 5 to 10 minutes to populate the address and verify into our domain. So for now, we'll just click. If I do verify here, you should see that it might do it right away, but it would probably say verify domain name, failed to verify domain name, californiafood.tk, only because we just created. So we'll leave this here for now. The next thing in our cheat sheet would be to create, well, what we'll do is we created the domain. We created these two things. So the next thing is we already did this one as well. we'll wait for creating ID. Let's move to this one where we'll create a VM, which is considered to be like a on-premises. So this is going to be, we create a virtual machine. We'll think that that is a on-premises server. I will click here. We don't have a, I would say, on-prem AD. It's a resource group. VM AD VM S server win serve, and then select the region Pacific Asia. Actually, I wonder why this is showing up as Pacific Asia. Okay, let's create I think that is giving me error in terms of the resource creating in East Asia. I don't need that because I'm in West. So let's do AD server on-prem. Location is West US. Click next, next, and I would create. Okay, and then we go back here, we create a machine, virtual machine. We'll use on-prem. That is my resource. Now it's showing up West Asia. Okay, VM, I would say AD server. And then it's West US. Over here, this is my personal image that is showing up. I'm going to select Windows 2016 Data Center. And then this is the specification. We've already done this a few times, so I'm just going to skip that. And then password. Port will have it as 3389 because we're going to remote into it. Go next. Again, we can just leave it as standard. We don't have to do STD. Click next. Networking. For now, we'll just leave it the way it is showing up. It's going to create a network VNet and then give you a subnet of 24. IP address, VNet would be probably 16 default. Basic network security group. Inbound, we set RDP. We'll just, it's asking me if I want a load balancer, which I don't. Click next. We don't need, for now, we don't need boot diagnostic. And rest, we just leave it default. Click next. Advanced, we don't need that. Click next. Click next. And then once this is the validation passes, we're just going to go ahead and create. This one is saying that the RDP port is open. So this is going to create a virtual machine, which is a Windows 2016. The next step is to log in and basically install not IIS, most like AD and DNS. It's just doing a deployment here. You can see VNet was deployed, IP address was given, security group is also given, and then there is a name of AD server. This is a network interface, and then it is basically, you can see up here, so machine is being deployed right now. We're still waiting for it to verify. I'm going to verify in a second here. I'm creating machine at the meantime. Your question can be, hey, why are we not creating a virtual machine in this tenant, this domain? The reason behind that is there is no subscription to this domain. So if I click here, you can see there is nothing. Azure free trial. So what we're doing is if I click on subscription, I don't think I have anything in here because I haven't assigned any subscription to this account. So we will do that in a second here. But what I'm doing is right now, I'm just using my own tenant. I will create a machine. And then once I create the machine, we will sync those user ID from this domain and then add the subscription to this too as well. Let's go back here. So our machine is deployed. We're going to log in here. I'm sorry, just keep opening up on the other window, so I just need to drag it out. All right, so you can see it's opened. It's loading. So it's just loading. It's going to go through the process of loading this server manager. Still doing some settings, so I'm just going to let it do the setting here. It's just loading. I think the screen size is all right. So I think this is still loading, but in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll first thing first, click here and then turn off the enhanced security. Click OK, and then we'll come here and then we'll AD roles and feature. And then this is before I begin. I need to read all this. Click next. Role-based or feature-based configure single server by adding roles. So we are using, since we're installing AD and DNS, so we're going to use this one here. Click next. Again, virtual hard drive you want to use as data centers 2016 IP address. Click next. And over here you will select Active Directory domain services. And then it's going to say add features that are required for Active Directory domain services. And then it's showing that, hey, these are the things that it's going to install. I would say add feature. And then we will also use DNS server as we're going to use our domain that we created, and we'll configure that domain with this on-premises domain. Click next, and then it says, hey, this is not a static IP because it's going to change if we reboot. So it's just giving you that information that, hey, do you really want to keep it as static? For now, we would just keep it as this is because we're not doing this. But if you are in a working environment, you want to make sure you have a static IP so that if it changes, if it reboots, it just keeps the same. Please configure a static IP on this computer before installing DNS. Click continue, click next, and then this is also showing that, hey, AD domain services, user, computer, other devices. Click next, clicks next. I would click on restart, yes. Click next, and then it's going to install AD as well as DNS. This is how we got here. So if you missed it, add AD feature, click next, role based, click next, next, and then it's running right now, so it's probably not going to show you. But anyways, this is what we're doing. Alright guys, so it's brought me to this configuration page. I need to promote it. So if I cancel this here, I forgot to hit record. So click here, and then it says post deployment configuration, promote the server to domain controller. Click here, and then add a domain controller to existing domain, a new domain controller, add a new forest. I'll say add a new forest. Domain name, I would say California Food .tk. Click next. This is the domain we had. And then it's going to say functional level of new forest, root domain server 2016, domain functional level 16, read only. If I want, you can just give password. And then click next. Next. It should pick up California Food.tk. Well, California Food, it should pick up as a domain net BIOS name. Click next. Then these are the files that it is specify the location of ADDS, Directory Services Database, log file, and system volume. So this, click next, and then click next. Prerequisites need to be validated before Active Directory domain service is installed on this computer. I'm just going to wait. And then these are all the warnings, I would say. And then all pre-check pass successfully, click install. So now it's going to start Active Directory domain services onto this server that we have promoted to a domain controller. Is doing its configuration. All right, so it says you're about to sign out, and it signed me out. So remember we said it to restart, so it did restart. The next thing is to verify domain. I think we already have done 10 minutes. So let's log in first, and then we'll verify the domain, the custom domain that we created. I don't think we need this, so we're just going to close this, and we're going to log back into our domain. So it's applying group policy after the reboot. So just gonna wait till it loads up all the server manager and domain controller. Alright guys, so it did reboot the server of the AD installation and DNS. So you can see DNS is installed and AD services is installed. So if I go to dashboard, you can see AD is running, DNS is running. First thing first, what we'll do is we'll go to tools here, and then we'll go to users and computers. You can do site service, modules, window PowerShell. These are different AD functions. I would just select user and computer. Once I do that, I would get here. You can see our domain is listed here, californiafood.tk. These are all the users that are, well, that are that was created when the AD was created. Here our test admin is there too. First thing first, we'll right click here, and then we'll create a new forest that is an organizational unit. Click here, and you can protect I would say information technology, IT, or actually let's do North California. Click OK, and you have an organizational structure, and you can add another one, South California. Click OK, and then you have two of them. So when we sync this, these should come up there. So first thing first, let's add some cities to North California. Let's say if we want to add let's do just so in North California we can just do Fremont. Last name is Fremont, California. This is like fake name that I'm doing, and then Fremont. This is a city. This is not the fake name, but this is fake information that I'm providing. Fremont at californiafood.tk. Click next, and then password. I would just say password never expired. I say click next, finish, and then I would add another user. I would say San Jose. California. These are the cities of in California. Click next. So this is how you create users. And then you can also create, let's say you want to create a group. You create a group name. I would say Bay Area. And then you can, it's a global, universal. I would just leave it for local domain. Click OK. And then you have all these in this. So let's say if I want to create another one, I would go to Bay Area. And I would add members to that. So that's how you would create. In Southern, we can just create Los Angeles. Click next. This is how you would configure your local. And once this is done, we will sync those users into our domain in cloud. So you can see we have a couple of groups, couple of users. We can create, I would say, Santa Ana. Global, or click OK. I can also create another city. Let's, sorry, taking a little bit of time, but this is important. Click next. All right, so we have users created, we have group created. Once we sync these, it should come up onto. So we're gonna minimize this. We don't need this right now. So I'm just gonna go back. And the next part is the interesting part that, hey, we have this personal domain. So I am going to come up here. You can create users here. So let me show you here. So we have created, in order for you to create users in Active Directory, click new user. And it's going to ask you that, hey, you know what, do you want to create a new user, which is California food, or invite a user from outside? Right now, if I select this, if I click here, and then I don't have my own domain, so I have to use Microsoft domain to create the user. That's why I did not create any user. But for now, let's do this. Let's go back here. And on the left hand blade, you will scroll down to custom domain. Once you click on custom domain, now I will click on this one and hit verify. So it should verify domain here. It's still not verifying, so it means that it's going to take a little bit while. Usually it takes a day or two to verify. So we're just going to wait till this verifies, and then we'll create user or not. So give me a second here. Let me do one more time. Copy this. Usually sometimes it takes like 10 minutes and it just verified. Sometimes it takes forever. My domain, manage California food.tk. I think we already have defined the domain, so I'm not sure why is it showing up like that. As you can see, we already have this here. I think we already did a txt record. Sorry, not that one. Copy this. So we already have done this as a txt record, so we just need to wait it out. Txt record, and nothing in there, just minimize this and save changes. It should populate in our domain here. So we'll wait for a bit to see. It's just waiting for californiafoods.tk. All right. So since it's taking time, we're just going to go back here. We'll close this and click user. And we will create user. Only difference is create a user or invite a user from outside. So if you have your own Hotmail account and I want you to work in the company, I will use I will invite you, you will accept it, and you will log in. For now, we'll just use a user. I would use a domain which is given to us by Microsoft. Later on, we can, if we're able to verify the domain in this exercise, I'll create a user and show you, but not for now. We'll just use this one here. So let's say we want to do Chris at californiafood.on.microsoft. Otherwise, if we have verified the domain, it's with the Chris at californiafoods.tk. And then you will say Chris Green. I would copy this password. First time, we just need to make sure that you are logged in and remoting into the system. So you will create an account. For now, we don't want to block in no user location. This user location is important, but right now, once you activate the P2 license, this user location needs to be specified. Otherwise, that user location won't be showing up. So job title, I would hit create. It's created the user green. So if I click in here, it has all the detail about this user. He is never logged in. This is his object ID. These are all the details. One thing we need to do is we need to assign him a role. So let me show you one more thing. So let's say if we have Chris Green, so copy his ID, come here, and then go to private window. Actually, we might not be able to have him log in. Let me see if I actually copied his email address, so the password that I had was gone. So I'm going to reset this password here. And this gave me a new password. Close this here, and then new window. I would say portal.azure.com. Again, get here. We'll copy his email address and click next. Password is this. And then it's logging into our tenant. First time it asks you always to change your password. I will change it. And click sign in. And now we are logged into our domain with a new user that we created on the cloud. The domain is California Foods, and then the ID name is maybe later California Food, and the ID is California Food ID is Chris California Food Ontario. So as you can see, he is not going to be able to do anything because he has no access. So if I click here, nothing. So what is going on? So because we haven't given him any access. So even if I click on any of the resource group or anything like that, he doesn't have access. So what we'll do is we'll minimize this here, and then we will come to his profile. So again, come here, user, Chris, and then once we have Chris and we click on to assign role here, and you can see he doesn't have any role. So what I want Chris to be an administrator for us. So he would be the one who is going to be taking care of all the infrastructure or everything access. So I click here, add assignment, and these are the list of admin roles that you want to assign to the users. Assign custom role or user organization need AD P1, P2 licenses, which we don't have. So if I click here and I click on licenses, we don't have any access. Well, he doesn't have it because, well, the whole tenant doesn't have it, but he also needs an access activator. I'll show you in a second here. So click assignment, and then click on assigned role, add assignment. And since he is going to be taking care of all the functions, you have different type of function that you can provide. These are pre-built policies, accounts that you can use, but we'll give him as a global administrator. So we'll give him a global administrator. If he was, let's say, if he was a help desk administrator, he can always reset password or anything like that. You will say help desk, and you can see help desk administrator. If you want to give him user administrator, you can give him user administration. Okay, click next, and then we refresh it, and then we go back here to our account here. So let's do this here. So we are here. So if we refresh it, it should show up for him. So if we click here, I might have to sign out and sign back in. Once again, log in with new password. Okay, so come here. We can assign him a license. So close this one here, come here, and then when we click on assignment, we don't have any license. So for that, you just need to click here, and then you click on to license here. Licenses. Once you click on license, this is where you activate the license. Right now we have no license listed here, so we will create a license for this tenant. So I would click on get a free license, and over here you have two type of free trial, that is enterprise mobility, security E5, or admin P2P. So I would click on this one and I would activate his license. Once he activate, you'll see an error message coming up for that person once I add him. So if I do activate it now, if I go back here, and so it doesn't show me that, it still says it's like, you know. So I'll show you in a second here. Let's quickly check if we have a custom domain. Verify. Still not happen. So I will click here. All right, so let's log into my domain just to show you that license has been activated. Go to all directory and we'll look for California food. Click here. It's going to go back to my, well, what we did was, in order for me to show that, you know, it is activated a P2 license, I logged out. I went to different directory and came back up. Now it should definitely show up as a P2 license activated. So this is good. Now the next step is to, like, I was hoping that we should be able to verify the domain, but I guess we have not been able to. So still not happening. I will delete this. Just to see if it, maybe we just have to delete and re-add it again. So we'll just leave it like that. And then next step is to click here. And then let me show you a couple of items. So again, user ID group, I can create a group and add that group. Group has different type of group, dynamic and study. So you can just create a group. And then you can see there are two types, two ways to do is one security or is 365, or and give the name of it, and you can assign the AD role for this group. And let's say if I want to do security, and I say assign, so it's going to pick up. Okay, so this is a different topic, but I'm just going to leave it for now. We'll just create groups later if I wanted to show you how the sync is happening. So again, we come back here. We look at password reset. You know, these are all the different ways you can reset the password. We will click on our topic, Azure AD. And then once we get here, you can see this is the place where we will download the tool, Azure AD Connect. And then you can download, I would copy this link, copy this link here, and go back to my domain. And I would open up Internet Explorer. Paste and hit enter. And it brings us to a software page where it says Microsoft Active Directories Connect. Download. I would save first. Open folder, right click and install. I'll close run, and I'll close these windows that I don't need it. So it's installing AD Connect software. And now we have this page here. I would accept to the agreement, click next, and then it says expect setting. I would use expect. You can customize and give your own preference as to what you want to synchronize. I would over here, this is asking for us for Azure AD Global Administrator or Hybrid Identity. If you remember, we created Chris Green here. So we will use his ID to log into. So I'll explain this in a second here. Click here on the user. As you can see, Chris Green is a global administrator because we assign him to be a global administrator. I click here and you can see he is a global administrator. So I will, over here, the AD is asking, the AD Connect is asking, in order for you to sync, you need to put global administrator user ID here. So I would do that, and password. Next. It verified. Now it's asking for connect to AD domain services. So remember we created AD domain services. So I think California food / test admin, because this is where we logged in. See if you see already picked up the user domain, and then type in. So first, express setting, it's asking where in the cloud. Chris Green, connect to Active Directory domain, which is our on-premises. Who is this? Test admin, which is the part of this machine. You can create your own user and do that. I can probably use Fremont and make sure that is an admin. Click next. And it's verifying the credential. It's giving me this error. The domain specified in credential does not exist because this is California food, not foods. So I would just take out the S, and then I would try to do next, and it did connect. So you know I was making a mistake over there. So now this is connected. Click here, and then click connect. Now it's going to configure. I will hit install. Now it is basically installing all the services here. We'll minimize this for a second. Go back here. I really wish that we should be able to verify the record, the domain. So all right, so you can see the domain is verified. So you can see the verified domain, californiafood.tk is verified. You can click on make the primary and click yes. And then go back here. Now you can see this is verified at californiafoods.tk and domain. So now if I want to create a user, new user, same thing. I would say green at californiafood.tk. You can use both. I would use this one. You can create your own password. So now you have a user that is under name of your own domain. So if I click here, you can see that I have one user that was before domain verification, and then now I have my own company domain that I brought into Azure, and I have this user to log in. Perfect. Now we are going to go back here. As you can see, it is still creating Azure Active Directory synchronization account. So it's creating some files. We'll leave that in as is, and we'll wait. it is configuring our synchronizing rules, californiafood.tk. Alright guys, so it is synchronized, configuration completed, everything is good. Click exit, and then we have completely synchronized our AD. I can click here and I would say synchronization services. I click here and it tells you, like, you know, all this activity that is happened. As you can see, the californiafood.tk is also synchronized. It has added 12 records. Now the best part, click here, refresh. Now you have basically migrated or copied all the users that were in your Azure AD, not Azure AD, the AD on premises. So this is how you basically synchronize a user account from on premises to cloud. This is how you migrate your users. One more thing. Now what we'll do is we'll actually log Chris Green out, and we will log in and then add another account. I would say Green, add California food.tk. I would believe that's our domain. There's a our custom domain. If I refresh it, it should show up with the custom domain now. Well, let's do this here. Let me show you this again. Sometimes you have to refresh or just move to a different directory and come back because it doesn't show for you. And then I log back into my domain here and then go from. Alright guys, you can see our primary domain is still showing up like this. Even though we have verified this is our primary domain. Anyways, so what I was going to do is try to log in with Green. So where's Green Chris? So I'll just copy this and I would go back to here, click next, and we'll quickly do a couple of things and then I'll wrap it up here. So go back here for a second and then we will assign a role to Chris Green. This time, Green Chris, we will assign a role as a user administrator. Add. And then I will also show you how. So if I do this, I go back here, he still doesn't have any access, just like Chris Green. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our main domain and then we will assign a license to him. First, we assign the license to the tenant. There we activated a P2 license. Now, if you see, there is no license attached to him. So I will assign and then click here and then select P2. And once I hit save, one thing happens. It will give us an error here. It says license assignment failed for the member. The reason is that Chris Green location is not defined. So we go back to Chris Green. We go back to profile, edit, and then we will say Chris Green is from United States, or wherever you want to set it up based on your requirement. And then I would save it. Once I do that, I will go back here on the license tab, add assignment, select P2, and click save. Now it should successfully let us get into this. Go back here. I would log out and log back in quickly. So agree. Sign in. And now we're logged in to Chris, Green Chris. Now we have everything. It still doesn't have subscription. You know, I have to move subscription, so he cannot create a because without subscription. So that's what it is. But as you can see, I don't see any. Like if I log in here, you can see he doesn't. You don't see any. Like he says that, hey, free trial. You select the offer, pay as you go for a student, select offer, and then you need to go through the registration for subscription. I haven't given any subscription. If the company California Food already a part of Azure, then they probably have an access 12 months, 200 credit. You can work through this and sign up with your credit card. We are not doing that for now. So that will be it. That actually defines the synchronization and so that's completes our lab. I'm gonna just recap what we did. Let's do this here. Best is to explain it here. We created AD like a tenant that is California Food here. And then AD was already set up. We made some users, gave them global administrator, user administrator. Also, we created on-premises VM 2016, install AD domain, promote that domain, and install DNS. We created some users here, groups here, and then we downloaded AD Connect and synchronized it. In the meantime, we also used our domain controller, and we were able to get all the user IDs synchronized here. If I look up here, we have everything. Even the groups are there. So this is just users. So if I click here and I click on groups, you can see the groups that we created are also Bay Area, Santa Ana. So if I click on Bay Area, it should have, well, Bay Area had nothing in there because I think I didn't add any, but Santa Ana I did. So let me check Santa Ana, or maybe I did not over there as well. So anyways, this is how you can add groups, and so that will be it. That completes our lab. I hope you really enjoyed the lab. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. So if you really enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe my channel. If you are new, feel free to share it with your friends. Until next time, you have yourself a great day. Thank you.